I think when you look at it, it all comes down to the manipulation of perception, right? When people want to gain power and gain power over masses of people, they really need to shape their thoughts, which drive their behaviors, right? So, to me, we all hallucinate reality, is what scientists will tell you, right? We never really achieve objective understanding of our environment, because all of what our brain hallucinates as reality comes through the windows of our perception. We see very narrow spectrum of light. We only hear a certain amount of the frequency of sound. And, the things that are outside the immediate range of our five senses are totally constructed, right? Which becomes a very garbage in, garbage out process. Like, how do I know there's a war in Ukraine going on right now? I didn't go there to fact check that myself, right? I've got to build that reality out of sources, and hopefully the sources that I'm going to are credible sources, right? And so in military terms, when we're building that perception, typically we use multiple means and sources to determine what is the ground truth per se of what's happening in a certain area. So like what's going on in Iran right now with the protests, right? We're not just taking one person's word for it. We're building that picture based off of different sources, and then technical means, and then also building that reality through cross-checking that stuff and not believing the first report, right? So when we talk about that, I think the other kind of key lever that when people are trying to propagandize, one of the main tools that they use is fear, right? And let me nerd out on neuroscience for a minute. You've got really this push-pull relationship between two different parts of your brain. And one is what we call the amygdala. It's two like almond-sized glands that sit on top of your old brainstem, if this is kind of like your brain on the side. And then right up front here is our prefrontal cortex, which is kind of like the reason center, the thinking center, the stuff that puts the brakes on all the bad decisions. And if we were to put you in a functional MRI machine and show you your worst nightmare, we could watch your fight or flight center start up, and we could watch your prefrontal cortex shut down, right? Which is why it is so imperative that, if somebody's going to be successful at propaganda, typically they need to make people afraid. Because when you're afraid, reason center shuts down, you become malleable to changing perceptions, which will change your behaviors, right? And so, we see that at play quite a bit.